You listened to him on the KVJ show for years. Every time he tried to talk sports, he'd get shut down. After years of begging, we finally gave in. Brought to you by Bremen Motor Cars and by Wellington Anti-Aging. It's Kevin's Other Show on 640 The Hurricane.
Well, there is a story that has been breaking today, and of course everybody would love to know my opinion on it because it involves the possible downfall of Urban Meyer at Ohio State. Could this be the story that takes him out? There is more to what you may have heard last week when they were at the Big Ten Media Days about a wide receiver coach, Zach Smith, that he recently terminated. And it had to do with, did Urban Meyer know about some allegations that had happened about domestic abuse in his relationship? Now, I think you got to go all the way back to set the table on this discussion. One thing I know as a huge Buckeye fan and follow everything they do, Urban Meyer has been very clear and has laid the ground rules when it comes to domestic abuse. He does not tolerate it at all. Zero tolerance policy he has established with his players and sometimes has exercised that, where a player gets into a shoving match with his girlfriend and you'll see the guy go. Mm-hmm. So you've got this situation with his wide receivers coach, Zach Smith. Now, to also establish this, Zach Smith is the grandson of Earl Bruce, a former Buckeye coach who came in right after Woody Hayes, that is widely known to be Urban Meyer's mentor. In fact, next to his father, he said that Earl Bruce is the closest man he has had ever in his life.
Wow.
So that'll let you know how tight this is. So there is a reason for, you talk about a motive, be like, dude, it's just a wide receiver coach. No, it's not. In a sense, you're looking at a guy that he picked up in Florida, brought with him there, and this guy, I believe, played tight end for him all the way back at Bowling Green. So this guy, Zach Smith, has been with Urban Meyer for a while. So there is history there that goes very deep.
Almost like family. I mean, essentially, when you look at that relationship with his grandfather and how long they've known each other.
When he fired Zach Smith, it's like, yeah, I would liken it to firing, if not a brother, at least a first cousin.
Yeah.
That's basically what we're talking about here when he finally did that. Other side note you may not be aware of, Earl Bruce passed away just about 2 months ago.
Oh, wow.
And so Earl Bruce is out of the picture, and that became part of the discussion. Okay, yeah, now that Earl Bruce isn't there to see you fire his grandson, now you finally strapped on and did it, but you did it too late. And that's going to be the big question. Now, the late-breaking story about Urban Meyer is some new reports that has come out here about what did Urban know and when. Brett McMurphy has been doing some digging here, and there is an interview that was done with Stadium, which is one of those offshoot media sources now. This is...
Never heard of that thing before.
No, and that's where Brett McMurphy landed,
right?
Because ESPN recently just cut him.
Yes, a few months ago.
And I also find this is another interesting sidebar of this entire story. We just, right before we did this show here, about 1:30 when we're recording it, went to ESPN's homepage. ESPN, who just recently fired Brett McMurphy in the last year, has nothing about this Urban Meyer story, yet it's the #1 trending thing on Twitter.
Hilarious.
It is funny because if ESPN posts this up, it's like, oh, okay, we're kind of maybe admitting that we made a bad mistake with Brett McMurphy digging up maybe the biggest story that's going to happen in college football this year. If Urban Meyer loses his job, aside from whoever wins the national championship, this is probably your second biggest story that I can imagine.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's only one bigger name in college football, name in general, and it's Saban.
Yeah.
And, I mean, because, let's face it, the biggest names in college football are the coaches. It's Nick Saban, it's Urban Meyer, it's Dabo Swinney.
Yeah.
I mean, all these names, these are the guys, Harbaugh, they make up college football. And he's right up there with Saban. Those are the two biggest names.
Yeah. So
on ESPN.com right now, top 3 headlines. Number 3, Pacers finalizing extension for McMillan. That would be the head coach.
Okay, number 3. That's
this
fine.
feels
That's
like
fine,
a bigger story.
Number 2, Tiger looking to play 5 of the next 6 tournaments.
Okay, that's big. That's big.
And the number 1 story, top headline on ESPN.com.
It's got to be Urban Meyer, right?
Patriots release injured wide receiver Matthews.
That doesn't sound bigger than Urban Meyer.
I don't understand what's going on here.
Is it that they really just have sour grapes with Brett McMurphy that they can't report this?
I think probably within it, You know, it would be like, for instance, I mean, think about it. It'd be like a radio station. Like if you fire a big talent and then he does something that is, and right now people are praising Brett McMurphy, saying, man, way to keep following on this story, way to get this interview, way to get these text messages, which, you know, supposedly he has some stuff. Now, you got to still figure out exactly what it is he knows and what he has found out. But here's what you got right now in the interview. This is Zach Smith's ex-wife, Courtney Smith, talking about the domestic abuse and issues that has happened and exactly who she told.
In 2015, I came forward with it. I told Shelly. I sent her some pictures. I spoke to her on the phone.
Now, by the way, Shelly is Shelly Meyer. That's Urban's wife.
His wife, okay.
This was the incident in 2015 that when asked about it at Big Ten Media Days, Urban said that was nothing. Mm-hmm. So, or he had just discovered it.
Yeah.
I think there were two things. He had said that one of these cases, and there are a few allegations, one going all the way back to 2009. One was nothing. The other one, Urban, saying, I'm just discovering that this happened last night, and I've been trying to do due diligence to find out some details on it.
Shelly, she said she was going to have to tell Urban. She was going to have to tell Urban.
Oh.
I said, that's fine. You know, you should tell Urban. We can't have somebody like this coaching young men.
Did she ever come back to you and tell you that she did tell Urban?
She did not. She would reach out to me, ask me how I'm doing, tell me she was worried.
Okay, so interestingly, right now, sounds like it fell at least with Shelly Meyer. Now, understanding what I know about this family and this relationship, I can't imagine any way that Shelly Meyer knew this and didn't say anything to Urban.
And that's what I was wondering, because when we initially first started talking about this, I had said to you, Kevin, I said, well, maybe she just decided to kind of fall on the sword, so to speak, and
fall on the sword.
Yeah, maybe. Obviously, it looks like I'm wrong, but that was my initial thought. Was thinking maybe she hid this from him.
I wanted to keep this as a girl thing. I was trying to deal with it with her.
Yeah, and she didn't want him to have to deal with it.
I don't know about
but
that.
it doesn't seem like that's the case. I mean, with her now saying that she was telling that I'm gonna have to say something to Urban here.
Yeah,
doesn't seem like she was looking to hide it from him. So. I don't know, man.
Well, here's the things, because, you know, people like Clay Travis, who does the morning hours here on this radio station at 640 The Hurricane, says Urban Meyer has been caught lying about his knowledge of a former assistant coach's alleged domestic abuse, and I believe Ohio State is going to have to fire him. These details are damning, much worse than Jim Tressel. You know, one of the things that he's saying, and that is going to be the ultimate question. And if Urban Meyer knew about this domestic abuse, and if it, you know, was the kind where there was violence and, you know, she was in danger and he did nothing, didn't say anything, and it continued, that's very damning to Urban Meyer. When you set up a zero tolerance policy with your players, you don't execute it with your coaches, no matter who they are, you've set up a dysfunctional organization. I don't know. If this comes out and if we go worst case scenario, I don't know how Urban Meyer does keep his job.
And just because, I mean, look, here's the thing. With Tressel, he lied to the NCAA. He lied to the board and said that he didn't know that Terrell Pryor was selling his stuff. And
he lied
players.
to the NCAA. And I even saw some people on Twitter today saying, well, Urban Meyer has lied to the media. He needs to be fired. Look, no one's getting fired for lying to the media.
You have to fire every single coach.
Yeah. Lying to the NCAA board when they're doing research on an investigation. Yes, you get fired for that. You don't get fired for lying to the media. So there are some people that do need to cool their jets.
But here's the thing, is that Urban Meyer would still end up getting fired, even though he hasn't, as far as my knowledge goes, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he hasn't been interviewed by the NCAA. They weren't investigating this, correct? I mean, he hasn't gone in front of a board like Tressel did and said, no, you don't want to know everything about this.
No.
So, but the thing is, even though he wasn't at that step like Tressel, he would still end up getting fired because of the court of public opinion. When you have a situation like this, especially with everything that's happened in the NFL over the past few years, with all the domestic abuse issues, you are now going to be crucified by the public and say, get this guy out of here. The pitchforks and the torches are going to come out down the street.
There are good reason, though, but for good reason, though. Yeah.
Absolutely, for good reason. Because if he hit it and he didn't say anything, even though he didn't lie to the NCAA, because I know that's what some people are going to say, oh, well, he was never interviewed, he just lied to the media. Well, look, he still knew about it and did nothing. And it's the public that's going to get him fired.
First of all, one, cool your jets. Do a full investigation because I know people want Urban Meyer out of Ohio State today. So let's do a full investigation to find out. First of all, you need to qualify the domestic abuse itself too, because that is a broad label that people throw on it. Domestic abuse, if you've ever dealt with it, I've had a lot of cop buddies that have. A lot of it becomes he said, she said type situations. So sometimes it's tough to get the truth and to qualify what it is. And sometimes there might be a shove or there might be a this, and they say domestic abuse, and you're thinking that he's wailing on her in some of the photos that we have seen in regards to domestic abuse. So I think you have to come out with it. You have to qualify it. You have to find out what Urban Meyer knew. And if it is of a violent nature and Urban Meyer did know, there's no way he keeps his job. Now,
Ricky came across something before we came on the show here. I think, Ricky, you found in the Brett McMurphy story, it was a text from Zach Smith's wife to somebody else within the Ohio State organization that said that Urban knew about it and talked to Zach about it in 2015?
Yeah, it talked about it and basically said that Zach is denying the whole entire thing. But going further into this Brett McMurphy thing, the actual pictures of the text messages between Shelley...
Oh, they have screenshots.
There's actual screenshots in here, too. And basically... talking to her about this whole incident.
There's one of her arm her arm looks very red.
Not just pictures, actual text messages with words from Shelley to her, to Courtney.
And it sounded like, and I think Urban had even admitted that he and Shelley had kind of taken on a mentorship in their marriage and had tried to work with them and their domestic issues to try to help them through it. So it sounds like they were right there with the front row seat. That's why I think you've got to find out what is the true story. You've got to qualify what the domestic abuse is. And if Urban Meyer allowed a guy, and by the way, everybody's saying it, but Buckeye fans didn't necessarily like this guy. He's had great talent at wide receiver and nobody really considers him to be a great coach. So there are a lot of questions about this, and there's a lot of content and character questions about this guy, Zach Smith, too. And if Urban Meyer has a poor content guy that he's got on his staff and he's protecting, it's almost like, if you've got a wolf in the hen house and something happens, is the head coach, it's your fault.
Right.
And
is there any way in your mind, because I know, you met Urban, you know some people around them and his wife and his family. Is there any way in your mind?
I've taken a photo with Urban, and there's a big difference. Yeah. But
you met him, you spoke to him, you shook his hand, you looked him in the eyes.
Yes.
Is there any way in your mind that you would think that his wife doesn't say something to him?
No. I think Shelley completely said something to me. I followed their relationship and know what it's pretty much all about. I remember one time there was a photo with my kid next to Urban Meyer, and she tweeted at her husband. It was like, ha, ha, ha. So they seem to communicate frequently about a lot of stuff.
Text message from Shelley to Courtney. Hi, Courtney. I think about you very often. How are you and the kids? I'm so sick that you have to suffer with this crap so young. I am so sorry. You're going to tell me that woman that would send that text message wouldn't tell her husband about it?
Yeah, I agree. Again, get a full investigation.
True.
Do not leave any stone unturned. Qualify it. Give it time. Let Urban Meyer make a better statement than they did at the Big Ten media days, because he did not seem prepared for it and did not seem almost like he didn't take it seriously. And I would have walked into that thing saying, you know what you're going to get hit with. You better be on top of this story. This is nasty and this is ugly. And being a guy who's a huge Buckeye fan that saw what happened to Jim Tressel, man, it smells a lot like that day when I saw that first report of Jim Tressel.
Boy.
I would say the odds are better that Urban Meyer loses his job over this than he keeps it.
Yeah. Wow. ESPN College Football Insider. 10 teams off to fast starts in the 2020 class, and the picture is Urban Meyer.
Oh, no. Well done, ESPN.com.
Nice work. All right, well, we're going to talk fighting of a different nature. Draymond Green versus Tristan Thompson. We'll break that one down for you next.
You can tell his wife, just don't tell those other guys. It's Kevin's Other Show on 640 The Hurricane.
Well, Draymond Green, are you amused when he's on the court? I mean, nobody seems to be a better troll master during the game than Draymond Green, right? I mean, you remember the playoffs. I mean, he was getting everybody upset.
He's so annoying.
He knows how to get under your skin, and if he gets you off your game, that's all fair, right? I mean, that's just what it is. It's controlling your emotions. Yeah. That kind of moment, that's part of the battle, right? You know? messing with somebody and playing with somebody. And it's not everybody's style, but it's Draymond Green's.
Part of his game.
You might have seen he and Tristan Thompson, they, had some words on court during the finals there. And Draymond apparently told Tristan to meet him in the tunnel after the game or catch him out in the streets this summer. And apparently Tristan took him up on the offer. According to the reports, the two got into a fight during an ESPYs after party back on July 18th at an LA nightclub. And apparently Tristan managed to punch Draymond Green twice before LeBron James and Kevin Durant broke things up.
Wow.
Could you imagine the video on that?
That would have been great.
Video of that.
The two big guys coming in there, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, had to break it up.
How does nobody have video of that?
That'd be
would've been
unbelievable. I
amazing.
mean, you think about that. That video, I would say, would start at $250,000.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Don't
I
you
could see that.
think? Doesn't that seem like a fair? I mean, I'm saying starting at $250,000.
Starting, yes.
I wouldn't entertain anything less than $250,000. I'd be like, nah.
You're
good.
right. How is there not video? I mean, it's just because it was like an exclusive party, so people in that party are like, you know what, let's just keep this on the down low. Like,
I think
that
so.
type of crowd.
Not that I hang at exclusive parties, but from what it seems is people are very sensitive to phones being out when you are around celebrities. And it seems like, those celebrities travel with people that watch their back the entire time because they are worth enough money. It's worth it to them to pay somebody on the side to say, keep an eye on the perimeter.
Well, they probably have
Right.
comedy shows now do this. They have these certain bags that you put your phone in, and your phone
probably.
doesn't work.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a possibility. They could be doing that too.
Yeah, totally.
but this was at a regular nightclub, right? So anybody could have been in there, theoretically speaking. It's
Well,
an LA nightclub.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, that's
but
right.
but
You know?
maybe not necessarily in the area where they
In the
are.
champagne room.
Yeah.
Yeah, that often happens where,
In the VIP area.
You can't see LeBron James and Kevin Durant just mingling with the regulars.
They're just at the bar, Blue Martini.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm like imagining in my head.
I
is
really
LeBron.
enjoyed that Blue Martini.
Yeah,
I think,
standing at the bar.
I think you're going to be in an area where people can't gawk. The people
Yeah.
that are in there are of that same status for the most part, or they're people that work for somebody of the same status. And, if you work for Kevin Durant, you can't be like snapping selfies with LeBron because Kevin Durant's going to fire you. Be like, come on, you're looking a fool.
So it could be possible that within this area of the club, okay,
Yeah.
that maybe LeBron James and Kevin Durant are in the same part of, let's say it's a VIP room, whatever, and Draymond Green is in there too, and Tristan Thompson maybe comes running in to that part, because who's going to stop Tristan Thompson? He's part of the crew. He's part of the NBA player. They're going to let him into that area.
Yeah,
so it could be something like that.
It was probably, what you probably had was Draymond Green.
I just want to see this. I wish somebody had video.
Probably, he was probably, Draymond Green was probably maybe pounding around with Kevin Durant. Then you probably had on the other side, you had LeBron and Tristan Thompson could have been palling around. The one thing I will tell you, even though you're probably not going to see maybe a smartphone video, and you still might. I mean, it's still possible, but you are going to have surveillance footage from the club, are you not, in that room? I mean, clubs today or any kind of like place like that is going to have cameras. So somebody somewhere, I have a feeling, is holding on to the video of this. And I mean, wouldn't it be satisfying, so satisfying for so many people to see Draymond Green taking two right to the face?
I know Charles Barkley would be happy to see it.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
for sure.
right.
Yes.
Yeah, talking about his punchable face, right?
love to
That's
see
a
that
good
video.
point. I didn't even think about that.
Yes.
That's big.
He might pay $250,000 for the video.
Yeah.
Oh, $20 TMZ's already got that video.
They might.
I bet. Yeah, it's
Well,
They
this
were
is
the
first-
ones that got the Ray Rice video.
That's true.
From
But
Rebel.
Yeah.
July 18th. We're
was
talking.
that a surveillance? That was surveillance.
It
right?
was, yeah.
It was
yeah.
Rebel nightclub in Atlantic City.
I bet right now they're trying to do it, but a private establishment doesn't necessarily have to give it up. Maybe the same way as a. Well, they probably paid for it.
They did pay for it with Rebel. Yeah, they absolutely paid for it.
Okay.
They paid a lot of money to Rebel.
I wonder
Did
I wonder what the price is for this.
That club used that money that they got that Ray Rice clip off to be able to put, because that club went out of business.
Oh, really?
They reopened up the club using that money.
Wow.
Did they? Wow.
They paid a
Okay.
lot of money for that video. And that was damning.
So you're
I
talking
don't think this
opening
would-
club money. Opening club money. That's probably.
I mean, it wasn't. It was a huge part of what they used.
Yeah,
It
but
was-
clubs aren't cheap. I mean, you're talking
No.
probably that's $7-figure deal, right?
Yes,
over
it
a
has
mil.
to be.
Over $1 million.
You probably figure, but for that, this would be nowhere near that. There was no. If they went up to them and be like, "Listen, I'll give you.
Yeah, you're
I'll
right,
give you
yeah.
like $500,000 for this, and they'd be like, no, we want $1 million. Be like, well, screw you. I don't really care that much. We broke the Ray Rice thing.
Yeah.
That was one of the most clicked articles in internet history.
Wow.
So I mean, they made a lot of money off.
So
of that.
this the value of Draymond taking a couple shots to the face.
Not
from
nearly as
Tristan
much
Thompson.
as Ray
No,
Rice.
not nearly.
So
as much.
I guarantee you, TMZ has that video already.
Well, just the fact too that LeBron and Durant are in there, or they're the ones
Breaking
who break
it
it
up?
up.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
that's
yeah.
great visual.
Okay, all right. They used to do this on MTV. They would do the celebrity death match.
Yes, it was so
Yes.
good.
Okay, you get to start
My favorite show.
pairing up. Sky's the limit here.
Okay.
What are the best pairs right now? Because you might say, and I'm looking, okay, yeah, I mean, Draymond Green for Tristan Thompson, that's great. But if we could do the reverse, wouldn't you much rather see a LeBron James, Kevin Durant fist fight?
I would love to see that.
course
Yes.
I would.
And I think in this, because LeBron James would absolutely destroy Kevin Durant, just size, strength, all that kind of stuff. So 2 shots Kevin Durant takes to LeBron's face is probably the video you want to see, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm also saying I want to see Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley.
Yes, I would love to see that.
But again,
no.
I
It
don't know
has
if
to
it's
be a
fairly
tag
matched.
team match. It has to be a tag team match with all of them on that show. So Kenny,
You're talking
Shaq.
Kenny seems too peaceful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So Kenny
you
with
put Ernie Johnson
Kenny
with
with
Charles
Shaq.
Barkley.
Yeah.
Johnson.
Kenny with Shaq.
No,
Kenny with Shaq.
no.
Ernie Johnson with Charles Barkley. Tag team match.
Come on.
Oh, you kidding me? That would be the best celebrity death match. I wish they would do the show again because Ernie Johnson would probably be the sickest, sadistic human being. He'd rip people's spines out of their butts.
could
and
see
stuff
him
like
maybe
that.
being a little
I would
scrappy.
see that'd be amazing. That show needs to come back.
Yeah,
That show needs to
I mean,
come
if you
back.
could do this, if you could rematch and put whomever you want, 2 celebrities together, who would you want to see get into a club fight? And there are 2 punches to somebody's face that happens in this battle. Who would you pair Tom Brady up against? And Tom Brady's got to be the one getting punched here, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I think
That's what everybody
I
wants to see.
think it would have to be like a. It would have to almost be like a town lynching to a point. Who are you going to put against Tom Brady? The world?
Here's who I want. I want Tom Brady and Belichick.
That's what I was going to say.
That's probably the only
Now,
one that
if-
makes sense.
If there were a fist fight between those 2, and who do you want to take the 2 punches to the face? That's
Man,
part of
that's
the deal.
tough.
I want to take. I
You want
Tom
Tom
Brady. I want
Brady
Tom Brady
decking Belichick twice, right?
No, I want Tom Brady to take the 2 because that's when when Guerrero, whatever his name, comes out and
comes out
and
from the back.
cries and he's in his beautiful face.
Alex
That's what I
Guerrero
want.
comes out from the back with a chair.
Yeah, he comes. I'm
Interferes with
telling
the
you, it's
match.
great. It's amazing.
Yeah, I typically do, but yeah. Coming up here in just a couple of minutes, there was a tweet that I saw last night, and this is very interesting. Is you know anything about high school and the fact that you can't recruit, and we just don't do that, and it's not allowed. A lot of question marks about exactly how you can recruit and what happens. I got a great tweet that I want to discuss coming up here. Happened from a local high school coach that is not real happy. We'll get to that. And also, Marlins made a few trades, and the Mets just suck. We'll get to all that coming up.
Be part of the show on Twitter at 640 The Hurricane, hashtag Kevin's Other Show.
Well, we hit it earlier in the show. Glad to see that ESPN finally caught up.
They woke up.
Yeah, the question about Urban Meyer and possible reports that happened and were dug up by a recently fired ESPN reporter,
They have to say his name. They actually.
Brett McMurphy.
Oh, they did have to say it.
They have to because that's where the story's coming
That
from.
must have been where the delay came. They must have gone into crisis mode and had meetings in the boardroom. How are we going to do this? How are we going to write this?
Right, because we just fired this guy and he's come up with arguably maybe the best job of journalism.
This could end up being the biggest sports story of the year.
Yeah. Now there
Could be.
And you say ESPN finally just put it as their top story.
And linked his Facebook. Yeah,
No.
Courtney,
Wow.
Yeah, Courtney Smith told college football reporter Brett McMurphy in a story on his Facebook page and linked it out. Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Okay.
So they
3
mentioned
months
him.
ago.
They mentioned him once, and that was it.
Yeah, you look at a lot of the discussion that's happening right now, and where it was left is the fired wide receiver coach that Urban Meyer just recently broomed. Domestic issues reportedly go back to 2009. It was about the 2015 issue that at the Big Ten Media Days just about a week ago, Urban said he did not know about. And I'm on my Buckeye threads just seeing what people were saying there, and people were saying, look, we don't yet know. She's claiming the victim that she had told Urban Meyer's wife. We don't yet know as confirmation that Urban Meyer did know that his wife told him, but does anybody really believe that Shelley Meyer did not tell Urban?
Yeah, at this point,
a lot of people don't really believe it. And so some people are even calling for right now that Urban Meyer should be suspended indefinitely until they do a full investigation.
Is that fair?
I don't know. I mean, the only problem I don't like, or the only thing that I don't like with that, I would just caution. I mean, obviously, I come with a ton of Buckeye bias, and I will say that.
Sure.
So, I mean, everybody qualify that. And, yeah, I'm sick to my stomach about this story. But I'm telling you, if
you came in looking like, when you told us the story, you came in looking like you were crying.
Oh, it's tough. I mean,
got scared.
it's disastrous. I mean, it's just exactly what you don't want to hear, right? Because you're so excited for high school or for college football, so excited for this Buckeye season.
Yeah.
Urban Meyer undeniably has been a great coach, and you hope that he was going to be there for another 10 or 20 years or 30 or 40. Who knows? Maybe they clone him and keep him there for a lifetime. But, yeah, if he withheld information, did not stop domestic abuse when he could have, if he keeps a guy that is beating his wife on his staff and he knows about it, I'm sorry. I mean, you just so I will go there with you.
You got to go if that's the case.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I don't want anyone to think that I'm saying anything different than that, because I'm not. But I do believe in any case, not just this one.
Yeah.
I believe in full investigation, full disclosure, due process, finding out what happens. Again, in domestic abuse issues, qualifying the domestic abuse and sorting it out, because there's a lot of he said, she said, getting the truth. And the only thing, if we do start setting a precedent where if somebody makes allegations and you suspend the accused, and Urban Meyer's not even accused of domestic abuse, he's accused of possibly keeping someone or keeping someone on his staff knowing that there could have been questionable behavior going on there.
Yes.
If we get to a point where that thin line of precedent is established before you can indefinitely suspend somebody, because investigations in something of this nature could take a very long time.
It's true.
Yeah.
Months, if not maybe a year or so. You could start seeing, and especially not to say underhanded colleges would do this, but you could start digging up lots of accusations that could possibly happen if they say, well, while we investigate the accusations, we just immediately have a precedent where we suspend somebody indefinitely until we get proof that they didn't do it.
A lot of places do that.
Yeah, but you could have a continuing trail of just, my gosh, how many people are getting suspended, and that could become a tactic, an underhanded tactic used if people think that it is effective. So, hey, if there are things and you start getting immediate proof that, wow, this looks really bad on Urban Meyer, then they might want to do that.
I mean, it already looks pretty bad on Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
Here's the tricky thing, though, and like we were saying in the text messages earlier, from Zach Smith's wife, when she was talking about this text to someone else within Ohio State, and she was saying that Shelley Meyer was telling Urban about this, and that Urban spoke to Zach Smith about it, and Zach denied it. So if that is the case, if Urban did know, and we believe these text messages where she's saying that, yeah, you know what, Urban did talk to him, and Zach denied it all to him, what is Urban supposed to do at that point? If that's what happened 3 years ago, if you confront the guy and say, hey, look, what's going on here?
But they asked him the question, did you know about it? And he said no. That's the problem. He didn't say we vetted it out and it was allegations. None of it proved to be true. He denied all of it.
But that's what you got to find out. What did Urban Meyer know and when? Yeah. What did he know and when? And that's until you can answer that question, I don't think it's fair to suspend him indefinitely. I think you need to at least start finding out what did he know and when.
Yeah.
Because right now, I don't think anybody felt great about the way he answered it. But, I mean, is that enough to get rid of Urban Meyer? Like I said, that would set precedent that you've got to, because a lot of people don't like Urban Meyer, obviously, because of what had happened in Florida. But you could start getting a lot of people that suspend him.
Yeah.
And, it could set a precedent that, I mean, if you do it for Urban Meyer, you need to start doing it for everybody.
And that's also the tricky thing, too, is if he's being lied to, then how is he supposed to be able to know? Now, he could come out, and to Ricky's point, he could have come out and had a better statement.
Yeah, that's why these domestic issues are so tricky.
So tricky.
To ever get proof on who knew what was happening, was there documentation. Are the police involved? The police need to be involved with this to find out what they knew, too. What was going on here.
And if he was lied to, he needs to say that. That would be a better statement than what he originally said at the Big Ten media days. Is if he should come out and say, you know what, I did address this, and apparently I was lied
Urban,
to.
dude, there's no joking now, man. Whatever you know, you can't protect Zach Smith. You can't protect the legacy of his family, whatever. Right. You need to say what you knew and what was going on, because people, rightfully so,
a lot of questions, and it doesn't look good,
are calling for your possible ouster. Your butt is definitely on the line right now.
And his wife turning around and consoling Courtney via text message doesn't look good.
Well, and you've got to find out now, was that because of physical abuse, or could it have been verbal abuse on that? Could it have been a contentious relationship?
Oh, no, she spoke about the pictures themselves.
And what did Shelley say specifically?
I had to pull it up one more time. Yeah, I had it up here for a second. She spoke about the actual.
Was it the comment you'd said earlier about sorry you're going through that?
Yes, that was part of it, but that was after the fact, because she had asked Courtney how is everything doing, and it turns out that she was sticking with him even though through everything, and she goes, a lot of women do that. You just hope that it gets better from there. But it was mostly along that line.
With what you know right now, Ricky Bobby, if you are the athletic director at Ohio State, do you suspend Urban Meyer today?
100%. That's not even a question, because this is something that, I mean, you were asked publicly about this. This makes Ohio State and their whole situation look bad, because that means that if that question was asked and he denied it, that means either Ohio State, their athletic department, didn't ask the question at all, and if they didn't, they look bad. Yeah. And if they did and he lied to them and they didn't figure it out, they also look bad. It's kind of a lose-lose on their situation.
And we had described earlier the dynamic between them. Urban was very close with his wide receiver. There was another dynamic because, somebody's tweeted out going, I don't get it. Why don't you just hire another wide receiver coach? You've got to fully understand the familial dynamic that was going on there to understand. Because, Buckeye fans for a long time like going, this dude's not a very good coach. He's a good recruiter, but he's not really good at recruiting the players that he gets. They should have had better performance than what they did.
But this dude was like a little brother to Urban Meyer, kind of like we spoke about before.
Diener, do you suspend Urban Meyer today?
I do, actually. I tend to agree with what you guys are saying here, is that it just, the optics of this look so bad now that these text messages have been uncovered. It's almost undeniable at this point that he didn't know something was going on 3 years ago. Yeah. And if that's the case, like I said, even if he was lied to and he investigated it, he still came out and said the wrong things at the Big Ten Media Days. So suspend indefinitely. It's only August 1st. I agree with you, Kevin, too, in saying that everything needs due process and needs to be investigated. So suspend him indefinitely. The season doesn't start for another month. Yeah. If you can figure it out in the next month, he can still come back for week 1.
If I'm the athletic director at Ohio State,
if he's at no fault, he can come back.
Right now I have a very difficult conversation with Urban Meyer. I have a conversation with him before I suspend him.
Oh, I mean, you have to.
Yeah, exactly. So I get to that point, and we do have a long, hard talk. But, I don't hate it that you're going to do it. And I got to tell you right now, I think odds are that I would be surprised to see Urban Meyer keep his job.
Really?
I would. I would be surprised. I don't know what you say. I don't know what you say to make people be like, okay, all right, I feel good about this. Like I said, because Urban Meyer has established in his program zero tolerance for domestic abuse. And if it matches the criteria of it, Urban Meyer knew about it and did not act upon it, you're a hypocrite to your own standards, and that's bad to set an example for your very own players, saying, I'm not going to live by the standard I set for you. As a head coach, you can't do that.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Text message between Courtney and Shelley. I tried to get protection order, which started the whole investigation. It's hard because you have to prove immediate danger. The legal system is tough. Shelley responds back, geez, even with the pics, didn't law enforcement come to your place ever? So she knew about the pictures.
It's bad.
It's bad.
That's bad.
It's not good.
Yeah,
the only way Urban... I mean, this keeps developing as we're talking. So, I mean, the only way Urban keeps his job is if they do the suspension, let him sit out for the next month until the season, and within that month, if they find no wrongdoing on his part, intentional wrongdoing, I should say, then you can come back and at least clear his name, and that's how he keeps his job. I think that's the only way.
And is Greg Schiano so happy he didn't get that Tennessee job?
Oh, my God. I was literally just about to say his name, too.
Thank you, Tennessee, for not hiring me, baby. I just got the Buckeye gig. Yeah, who would ever thought?
Oh, my goodness.
All right, a great tweet that came out from a local high school football coach damning convictions on them trying to take his players. We'll tell you who it is next.
Get Kevin's other show whenever the hell you want. on YouTube and at 640thehurricane.com.
I've always been intrigued with the recruiting standards in the state of Florida because recruiting is not allowed. And I had a friend of mine that was coaching a pretty good-sized program.
Recruiting's not allowed.
Yes.
That was always laughable to me.
And I would talk to him, and I'm like going, okay, well, how is it that, some of these schools seem to stockpile these good players? And at the time, the FHSAA did not allow any kind of recruiting. You'd heard about players even in certain districts sleeping on other people's couches and all this kind of stuff just to get them at these schools. And it seemed like a lot of people were always turning a blind eye. And even at some of the private schools, and my friend was coaching a team at a private school, and he'd say, well, we're not really supposed to be recruiting at all. Now, you can give scholarships, and it was interesting as I would see some programs that would have these very athletic gentlemen who were star football players in very odd places in their school, like in the choir, when they could not sing a lick.
That's amazing.
And different parts of that. And yet somehow that was all allowed, but it was laughable because you're like going, okay, if you would audition 10 kids for that, you can't believe this is the kid that won the scholarship to the school.
Yeah, exactly.
And just coincidentally, he was all state. And that team I saw won a state championship that year.
Wowzer.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
Coincidence.
Yeah, pretty amazing. Well, this is kind of interesting because there was a tweet from the head football coach at John I. Leonard that we just had at our high school football media day that he put out on
Can I interrupt
Twitter.
you real quick? High school football media day. Was
Yes.
Todd Bowles there?
It was a guy that looks exactly like Todd
Oh,
Bowles.
stop. Okay.
I was like,
Yeah.
I literally came into
Yeah.
him and I go, you have to be friggin' kidding me.
He could be his twin. Yeah.
Okay, because
That's
somebody
hilarious.
wrote on Twitter Todd Bowles was
Yeah.
there, and I
They
was
were-
like, no way.
They were just joking, but yeah.
Oh
The
my
guy-
god!
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
That's
continue.
funny.
I
Okay, we were
apologize.
both
I had
wondering
to just.
Yeah.
I was about to jump over this board.
Because obviously Rick is a huge Jets fan.
Yes.
So when we saw it, we had no evidence to the otherwise that it wasn't Todd Bowles because it looked just like him.
Yeah. It said in this tweet, you coaches calling and texting my players asking if they want to play for y'all. I will have numbers and screenshots to share with my admin,
Oh.
the county
Damn.
admin, and the FHSAA tomorrow morning. So it sounds like the recruiting stuff is going crazy. And I know with Student Ace is a group I work with, I believe in mentoring kids and using athletics to get them to a better place, either schools or somewhere else, and giving them discipline in their life. We had tried to bring together 3 area high school teams, and only one of them was present because some of the other coaches are like going, no, because if I bring my players over there to your locker room, I have a feeling you're going to use this as a chance to
man.
say, wouldn't you like to come to our school? Now, the
Isn't
rules
that
have
sad?
the rules have been loosened. And now pretty much a regular student can jump to whatever school they want. And so I don't know what the parameters are, and I don't know that there really are any. It seems like if a school has room to take a student, they can, even if they are a star player. So what is to keep a coach who goes in and tries to get a raise for his job and he's denied, saying, okay, I'm just going to go to this school, and that school's like, yeah, you know what? We got 22 slots open for just coincidentally your 22 best players. Is there anything that's stopping that? And what makes me ask this is, we've talked about Oxbridge, how even though they're in the state championship last year, doesn't even have a football program this year.
Yeah.
And now some of their good players are scrambling, trying to find other places. And their former quarterback and current FAU commit, Gio Richardson, was going to go to Palm Beach Central
Right.
to play. And people were saying, wow, Palm Beach Central is going to be great. But then we were talking to Dwyer at the high school media days, like going, man, they seem to be the team to beat. And they had 2 other Oxbridge stars. And now it seems like their buddy Gio that they play with on Oxbridge is like going, no, I don't want to go there. I want to go with them. They seem like they're going to be better. And that is the whole thing. Now he's attempting to try to get in at Dwyer. And so what kind of stops all this, if anything? And that seems to be it. It seems to be like the wild, wild west. And if you're a program like Leonard, that's John I. Leonard is trying to turn it around, and you're a coach that's there, obviously you're putting a fence around your players and saying, no, nobody's coming in to get these guys. Because to him, that's his job. It's his livelihood. It's his family.
Absolutely.
Wins and losses.
Yeah.
How do you regulate this kind of stuff?
I was caught in a controversy very similar to this one time. I was in marching
can only
band.
imagine this.
And it really is. But no jokes aside, I had a band director that moved from school to school, and all the kids that were in our group wanted to stay with him. and they found ways to be able to move. They were all zoned for one school. They found ways to be able to. So you think about not even with football, but with all these other programs that are able to do that. There's loopholes.
So what are the loopholes and what are the guidelines? Chris Coquel, the great Coach K, that does our Saturday morning high school football show right here at 640 The Hurricane. We're just talking about the tweet that came out from the head coach at John I. Leonard and also Gio Richardson, who sounded like going to Palm Beach Central. Now maybe wants to go to Dwyer. What exactly are the rules and regulations for these players? And can they just pick up and go and bounce from one school to the next, whatever they please, from year to year?
Well, the biggest thing is the schools they're going to have to have open enrollment, meaning if they're full or if they're up to a certain percentage, they can't take any more kids. Because every school now has magnet programs. And that's things like your culinary arts, your science and technology STEM programs. Each school offers something different. Your military ones, your ROTCs. That's a lot of times how these guys get into the school, and then once they're in, you see them kind of slide away from the ROTC and just become a regular student because they're already admitted to school.
Wow. So are they allowed to save spots? And maybe they're not allowed, but do you see where schools are saving spots, hoping that maybe they could get a star quarterback or whomever to come over to join their football program in 1 year?
It's not even so much of a saving spot, but you do see certain schools letting more kids in. So the administration definitely has control over, when the athletes get signed up and get added to their program, and these guys jump the line to make sure they get into school. No one will ever admit that. They're not supposed to do that. Players are not supposed to do schools by athletics in any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
But let's be honest.
Yeah. Would it be possible for a coach to take his entire team from one school to the next from year to year?
Well, the follow the coach rule is still in effect, I believe, even though it seems like it's getting ignored, which meaning, like, say, when I left Olympic Heights and went to Jensen Beach, I know we're an hour apart, that wouldn't matter. But if I decided, okay, this kid's really good, I want Reese Clark, the running back, when I played at Albany State, I couldn't take him because he was mine the year before.
Oh, okay. So there actually is that rule then. You can't just leave the school and follow the coach. The coach can't threaten and say, hey, I'm going to take all these guys with me if you don't pay me or whatnot.
Yeah, you can't do that. They do that because you would see interviews where coaches would be pouring out what players they're going to take with them. That's all you would see is guys jumping from ship to ship, but then the street agents become assistant coaches, and it becomes a big mess.
Chris, are you seeing a lot of people breaking the rules? Are the rules being enforced, and are coaches now starting to tell on each other?
No one really wants to tell on each other. I don't know if you want to call it a code, but you have to. When I took over the program at Forest Hill, it was the worst program in the state. And guys were calling. I had a kid show up to my practice in Inlet Grove short. I was like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, they took me out to lunch. I was like, great. That's awesome. So I said, you know what? No, this isn't happening when I'm here. And you just got to make it known, because if you tell the state and you let people know, like, I have proof, I'm going to tell you, the kid will have to sit and you're going to get in trouble, the school's going to get in trouble. They'll stop. You have to build the wall the way the coach from John I is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's an interesting stance he took on Twitter, and he's letting people know, leave my players alone. Coach K, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m., 640 The Hurricane. Listen to it. Thanks for taking a minute with us, Coach. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks, Dad.
All right. Okay. Check out this show. We are on YouTube. We also got the podcast you can find with Kevin's other show, and you can follow along for my constant day long of sadness tweeting about Urban Meyer and who's going to be the next Buckeye coach. Follow along at Kevin's other show.
You listened to him on the KVJ show for years. Every time he tried to talk sports, he'd get shut down. After years of begging, we finally gave in. Brought to you by Wellington Anti-Aging. Low T? Go to WellingtonAntiAging.com. And by Bremen Motor Cars in West Palm Beach. A world-class experience. Shop BremenPorsche.com now. It's Kevin's other show on 640 The Hurricane.